Hi, Elena. Welcome to the UKAI Women in AI podcast. I'm so happy to have you as my guest today. I would really like you to go ahead and introduce yourself to all our viewers.
Okay. Thank you so much, Zara, for having me on this podcast. So let's get on with the introduction. Hi everyone. I'm Elena. I'm the founder and CEO of WeUno Technologies, a tech company that focuses on building intelligent, human-centered digital products. At WeUno, we work with businesses to help them innovate through technology, whether that means automating processes, developing AI-driven solutions, or creating products that truly improve how people interact with technology in their everyday lives. So I'm someone who's generally obsessed with technology and how it's changing the way we live and work. I've always been that person who loves trying out the newest tools, experimenting with emerging tech, and seeing how it can actually make life simpler or solve a problem in a smarter way. So for me, it's not just about following trends or being in the tech space. It's about being part of the wave of innovation that helps people and businesses grow in a positive, purposeful way.
That's great. And Elena, what is it that inspired you to get into tech? Is that something that happened during your education or your childhood? What was that spark?
So, in terms of the spark, I think I will start off with my journey because that hasn't been a straight line, to be honest. It's been full of experiments and a lot of learning along the way. So, I actually started out as a communication design graduate. I worked in editorial roles at media houses, banks, and corporate firms. So, back then I thought I was on a stable path, but I always had this restlessness, this feeling that I wanted to build something of my own. And that's what really pulled me in, and that was actually technology. So every time, like I mentioned, I saw a new tool or platform transforming how people worked or communicated, I would get this spark like, okay, this is where the future is happening. So I love that idea. And since I've always been doing human centered design, I've been doing design thinking. So in late 2019, I reached a turning point and I decided to take a leap of faith and start my own tech agency. So no investors, no backup plan, just me and my savings, and just three people literally who believe in the visions. And then a few months later, the COVID pandemic hit, right? And so honestly, I thought that that could have ended everything, but instead it just became a catalyst for me. So we realized that just doing design alone wasn't enough anymore. Businesses needed digital transformation and automation. So that was the point when we pivoted into a full-fledged technology software development house, basically. So we learned, we adapted, and we built. And today, WeUno is a team of over 40 amazing people. It's a mix of developers, designers, and AI engineers, data scientists, working with clients across the globe. So looking back, that leap, leaving the safe route and betting on myself was actually the moment that changed everything for myself.
Amazing. Incredibly, I would say inspiring, courageous decision.
Yeah.
What were the challenges that you had to overcome along the way?
A couple. I think every founder faces challenges. It's just a part of journey. But for me, I think the biggest ones weren't about external barriers. They were more about how to navigate growth, managing people, and constantly adapting to change. So, like when I started WeUno, I mentioned I didn't come from a tech background. I came from design. So one of my early challenges was learning how to bridge that gap between creativity and technology at a leadership level. So I actually had to understand how engineering teams work, think, how products are built, how processes scale. And that was a steep learning curve, but it was also the most exciting part. I've just been always curious, diving into the world. Like it helped me evolve, I think, both as a leader and a thinker. And then one of the biggest challenge was building the right culture. I always believe that the environment you create basically defines the kind of work you produce. So instead of focusing on hierarchy or traditional corporate culture, I focused on building a space where people can actually truly feel inspired and challenged. So it took time, but today, runs on that foundation, and I'm super proud of it because everyone takes ownership and they collaborate with each other, and there's always learning going on in the office. And yeah, and I think also staying relevant because it's sort of an industry that changes overnight. Technology, as you know, you've been in this business for so long. Technology doesn't wait for anyone. Yesterday it was blockchain, today is AI. I don't know, like tomorrow it's going to be something else. So I think it's about constantly learning, pivoting, and then sometimes even rebuild the entire ideology or the ideas. And yeah, so I think yeah, there's been, I think I covered one, I touched upon a couple of them. So there's been plenty of them, but I think it was all about. I never viewed them as obstacles, but they always viewed them as catalysts. So each one pushed me to think differently, to grow, and to just make WeUno and myself individually stronger and more resilient in the process.
Mhm. And what has been the greatest highlights to date for you?
I think my proud moment is that, so I honestly love my team. It's a blessing in disguise because when people walk into the office and when they have the smile on their faces, because throughout these 6 years there's been small projects, big projects, there's been immense growth in terms of the business, but in terms of how the people come together in the office, that's my biggest highlight, and that's my biggest pride as well, because no one walks into this office thinking, oh, it's a 9 to 5 job, let's just get in and get out. So I think, yeah, that is my big moment that I take pride in.
And are there any kind of current projects right now that you're working on, or future plans that you'd like to share with people?
So we've been working on a lot of projects. So we're quite sector agnostic. So we work in healthcare, we work in finance, and we work in education. We work in consulting and HR industry. So we're building. I can't disclose all the products, but we're developing and making really interesting products, mainly AI focused, since I think the past 2 years now. And yeah.
And in terms of, your individual contribution, how do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Individually contributing to the sector as a whole.
So I believe so
What would you
like I
want to leave behind as a legacy? Like what's your kind of future
yeah.
vision?
So in terms of the legacy, I think the real impact always starts small, right? So with an individual decision to do something better or smarter or just more consciously and being aware. So like how one person's mindset or one action can quite quietly shift how an entire team thinks and operates. So for me, honestly, it's never been about chasing a big legacy moment. It's just about building consistency and how you show up every day. And when you lead with intention, when you create opportunities for others to grow, when you build something that's ethical and meaningful, those small wins, I think, start to compound. And it's just that what I've been working on. And I feel like I want to keep working on.
Hmm. Um, how do you think we can inspire more women to get into AI, and what advice would you offer to women who want to, start their AI-based tech ventures like yourself?
I feel my biggest piece of advice is very simple. Just start. Don't wait for the perfect idea, the perfect timing, or the perfect version of your product. Because honestly, I don't think none of that exists, because a lot of founders, women founders, men founders, they get stuck, and the biggest trap most people fall into is just waiting for too long and trying to make everything flawless before they begin. So I work with a lot of founders and I help them, I consult them in developing the product. It's just nothing's going to be perfect. Maybe that's going to be perfect for that moment, but when that moment is gone and you don't have the product, you don't have the business, it's just you keep waiting for too long. So it's completely okay to fail, and fact, it's part of the process. It's okay to pivot. to change direction, to outgrow an idea you once believed. And trust me, I've done that multiple times. So it's just what's not okay to never try at all because sort of like you're afraid of failing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And what guidance would you offer young women who can upskill themselves in AI?
So I believe that this is I've been asked this question recently a couple of times. It's so because they come from a separate background, and I think the world in terms of AI and other emerging tech is just taking its own path, right? So in terms of upskilling, I think there are a lot of programs that's happening. There are a lot of hackathons that we discussed before are happening. It's just being part of the process, being AI literate, not necessarily you have to go in and write algorithms, right? You don't have to be a data scientist or a AI engineer to write stuff, right? You need to know enough to implement it in your life and then see where it takes you. So I think there are a lot of upskilling programs that I've been also looking at, trying to be part of to help women in this space. So that could possibly be a good starting point.
Mm-hmm. And Elena, you've been very active and contributing to the UKAI Women in AI working group. What has been your experience of being part of it?
I initially when I started the group and when I met you all, I was really nervous. But then I met all the wonderful ladies, and I was amazed by how all the individual women they come from a separate background. There's so much to learn, and I think I'm just really glad UKI reached out to me and gave me an opportunity to be a part of it, so I can through you guys help other women as well in specifically in AI and tech industry to grow.
That's so good to hear. And what would you say about your wider experience with UKAI?
Yeah, so I've been part of a couple of events since I became a member, and I think the initiative Tim and the team takes there is very wide from how AI is being implemented in terms of the regulations across the country, and then coming down to the level of how it's being applied to different industries. I think yeah, this. I feel like ever since I've been part of this association, I'm always learning because there's always reports coming in, there's always updates coming in. I honestly, this if I also advise people to join UKI because it's so much there's so many interesting things happening, and the best part is it's happening. It's just not in London. It's like around the UK, so everyone can access it. They're online events, it's hybrid events. So I just love being part of UKI as a whole, to be honest.
It's so good to hear the positive
Yeah.
feedback, and I'm glad that we're contributing. How can people connect with you, Elena, if they wanted to get in touch and learn more about what you're doing
Yeah.
at the company?
Yeah, so they can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I can also share my email address with you, but that we can post when you share the podcast, hopefully. And if anyone wants to know more about the company, WeUno, they can always go onto the website, uno.com, and drop me a message there, and the team can get back to them.
That's great. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers?
No, thank you, but Zara's having me. I'm super happy, and hopefully, when I get back to the country, let's meet up. It's been a while.
Thank you so much, Elena. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing your journey and for inspiring young women into AI.